Here we are in the famous McLaren Condor with the most famous man in motorsports, Roger Penske, as many call you, the captain. So we do this great little series. We found this McLaren Condor, which is so cool. And I know you knew the CEO of McLaren Engines very well. This was his motorhome, so I presume you've been in here many times. Maybe a little bit of a story about this and your time with McLaren in this era?
I'm not sure I have many stories, but Bill Smith was a dear friend of mine. He and Gary Knudsen really are the ones that had McLaren engines, and along with Teddy Mayer really were the backbone and were the real foundation for McLaren, early on. And I have a lot of great times with Bruce. I have to say the success that we had with McLaren cars has given us the platform to be where we are today.
Was you in your first race in a McLaren with Mark Donohue in IndyCar, I believe?
Yes, and well, actually in '71, we came here with a McLaren, and McLaren had a car with Revson, and we had Donohue, and we led the first lap. We didn't sit on the pole, and then had a gearbox go out, and the car was sitting up in the fourth corner with about 20 laps to go, and there was an accident. And the guys came across Mosley and Unser and damn near destroyed the car. It was just sitting there. I remember bringing it back to the garage and hanging on the hook. And Carl Conroy said, "I'm going to fix it." We went to Pocono 2 weeks later and won our first 500-mile race. So McLaren means a lot. And then came back in '72 to win. And Bruce and I raced together, and back in '62 in a Maserati in Sebring, finished fifth. So he and I go back to the Cooper days.
What would he be surprised what McLaren looks like today? I mean, he was always a leader, an innovator.
Bruce was a low-key guy. He put the numbers on the board a lot like Rick Mears. He wasn't looking for accolades. He was a student of the sport. Formula One winner. Obviously had the success with the Fords. He was a great driver, and today, they made the name really was starting in '68, with the big Can-Am cars, the orange McLaren Can-Am cars with the big V8s in them. And I was just devastated when, he had gone over to test a new setup on the, I forget it was MK8 or what the
MAD.
Yeah, whatever it was, and it lost the rear wing. But McLaren today, with the success across all the different aspects of motor racing, it's a credit to him because it takes people. And along the way, Ron Dennis, obviously, I think your leadership and stewardship today is really given them a real acceleration here in the last 2 years, which I think is important because when you think about Ferrari and you think about, obviously the Mercedes team, but, McLaren was always either at the top or challenging the top, and I think that's the position where you guys are today, and I think that's where he'd want you to be.
Yeah, he, like you, raced many different racing series, so that's, I think, IndyCar. I know you can't call out maybe a favorite, but you've always been an IndyCar guy, and obviously a very successful NASCAR team and sports car. Now you're going to be going back to Le Mans. That's maybe the one piece of unfinished business for you at this point?
Well, you climb every mountain you can, and I guess this is one that we've been at the bottom of the mountain for I don't know how many years and trying to get a chance to run there. But, we didn't want to run in class. We want to have an opportunity to run to win, and I think the relationship with Porsche, we had it back with a 91710 and 91730. We won. We came back and won with a Spider, beat the Audis at Sebring, and the goal was ultimately to race at Le Mans. So when this program came up, we had success winning the championship 2 times with Acura. So let's take a year off because we knew that a lot of this discussion was going on. And, obviously we're a key dealer for them on a commercial side, which obviously ties together. But the chance to connect with them and, their commitment. And we just didn't want to do just IMSA. We wanted to be the whole team, one way or the other. And I think that gives us the chance to cross-pollinate the technical information, because when you have 2 different teams, it's never quite the same. You know that yourself from where you sit. So it came together. Had the opportunity to have the CEO, Bluma, signed the papers with me, so I guess it's about as official as
It's
you
a
can
bad done deal.
do it. And I think it's a long-term deal too, because we've got a couple of years to get ready, and then there's a 5-year homologation period, which these rules will run. So hopefully we'll be able to sustain, that relationship during that time. But it's exciting. But I think, and credit to you and McLaren, when you asked me to talk about Bruce, he and I were teammates, or actually tent mates in many cases, because we came really from John Cooper, the John Cooper Works, and Monaco, and I took a Formula One car that had been wrecked and put a Cooper 2.7, the engine that Jack Brabham, drove here at Indianapolis. And so Bruce and I, and then basically McLaren cars, was spawned because of the Xerox special that we then ended up making a 2-seater. Bruce got a hold of it and put a Buick in it, and that was the first, you could say, McLaren car. So I got a little bit of skin in the game.
So, turning to the biggest event in the world, this one behind us, the Indianapolis 500. Obviously, your results are legendary here. When the opportunity came along to buy IndyCar, buy Indianapolis Motor Speedway, just couldn't help yourself, because I know you're definitely busy.
Well, I guess you have to go back and say, we've been a Speedway owner. We bought Michigan back many, many years ago. It was in bankruptcy. We had the opportunity to build California Speedway, partnered with the France family at Homestead. So along with now running the 2 races at Belle Isle. And when Tony came to me, it wasn't about did we want to, it was could we, based on the expectations from a financial perspective, which quite honestly we put together in 3 weeks. We kept it quiet because we needed to get in here, because this is one of these assets, because to get ready for the race in 2020, we didn't have much time. Well, obviously we didn't know on January 6th that 60 days later we were going to have the pandemic, and we wouldn't have a race. And you're a good guy on business plans. When you look at 300,000 people at $75 or $100 a piece, and nobody came, and you didn't run it on Memorial Day, and you ran it with no people, you can imagine the impact.
Yeah. Except I would say the industry is probably couldn't be happier that it was in your hands, especially during that time, because we know you know how to work your business magic. And where do you think IndyCar can go? What do you see as your vision for the next 5-10 years?
Well, I think you're seeing it today with the competitiveness of the teams here at Indy. I mean, I think what we wanted to do is have a test session here. We had 32 cars here for 2 days. We ran 2 races on high-speed ovals before we came here. So this has got to be the crown jewel. We've got to fill the field. We've got to get diversity. Having Simona running is really important. It was important to me, and we need to have an African-American hopefully get a chance to qualify here over the next couple of years. So number one is maintaining this generational fan base we have here, because when you look at it, we were limited to 135,000 people, but we also gave over 60,000 people credits for next year. So that meant, 60 or 90 days ago, we already had 200,000 people that wanted to come here. So we got to maintain that, and then we've got to build date equity at some of these other tracks. We're just not coming one year and then we don't run, or we run 2 races. So that is key certainly on our list. And then I want to keep the mix. I want to be sure we have short ovals, we have some long ovals, we have street circuits, and we have main road courses. I want to keep the series in 15, 16 races. I don't think we need 20 or 25. I think having 15 or 16 really great products in different markets will help sponsors, will help the teams, and also the costs associated with that. But TV is going to be important in order to build that. I think not only domestically, we've already seen interest, not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but from countries because of the new young stars that are coming up, which many of you are bringing into the series, and I think that's going to be exciting. We've got to get the young person connected with auto racing. I mean, the old fan is the old fan, but I'm an old fan, I guess. You're an old fan, right? At the end of the day, and I think that's our goal. And the teams, I think, have worked well. I hope at some point we can get the league in a way that we can have ownership the way we set it up. It's a separate entity, and we'd have the opportunity to have the owners have some value here. That was my goal when we started. Obviously, that can was kicked away from me early on, but I think the future is bright. The racing has never been better. Look at how many different winners we've had so far.
5 and 5. Yeah,
so but I think the lights are green. I think the safety of the cars and the costs. I mean, when you look at costs, and you know that better than anyone,
costs are amazing.
the costs are where we need to be. We're just not going to let that get out of hand. And if we can do that and work on each piece of the cost, I think that's going to make a difference, because revenue is difficult. You know, people today are looking at sustainability, they're looking at decarbonation. So we got lots of things, hybrids, that we're going to have to, you know, get our heads stuck into as we go forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So one last question for our viewers. So I'm asked often, who do I admire most in motor racing and business? And my answer is always you. I don't know if you know that or not,
No,
but that's the case. And people say, why? And I say, total racer at heart, has built an unbelievable racing empire, and then off the back of that, built an unbelievable business. And I love the business side of the sport, and the way you're able to have your business benefit your motor racing and your motor racing benefit your business, I think is amazing. And then the people you've surrounded yourself with. You know, when I meet your leadership team, if you're not around, you're still present because of the way and how proud everyone is to work for you. So I guess maybe for our viewers, what would be the secret to your success with all that you've accomplished?
Well, I think it's anybody can have an automobile to sell, anybody can have a truck to rent or lease, anybody can run a race team, but it takes the people. And I've just focused on having the best people, the human capital, we call it. And I've said this many times when we're interviewing people, we want it hard to get in and hard to leave. And I think our turnover is low. People know our mission statement and what we want to do. We're fair, just because you might be at the top of the organization, at the bottom. My office door is open, my home is open, and that's what you have to be. It's just like walking the restrooms with the guys here, you know, the other night. You got to do that kind of stuff, because if they don't see you doing it and you're sitting in your office, I think you don't have that continuity. And auto racing, quite honestly, has been the common thread through the company, and it's been I would have to say, the brand build is what the word I'm thinking about. The brand build we've been able to do. You lead the Indianapolis 500.
It's a hard feat of the organization.
Yeah, it is, and people want to be with winners, and it's tough, because, you know, the more you win, the more the expectations, and you know, you can't take anything for granted in this sport. And quite honestly, and today in business, a pandemic 1 year, you follow me. You've got governmental changes. All these different things, your health, everything else that takes place within an organization, your financial stability. And I think that you pull all that back together. It's about having the people that you can trust, you know, that are transparent, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I know you are the busiest man in motorsports, certainly this weekend, so I really appreciate your time, and it's an honor to sit here with you in this cool McLaren Condor.
I don't think, I hope Bill Smith's up above, he and Teddy and all the guys, because we used to sit in this thing talking about a lot of stuff. I really can't probably talk about a lot of it, but no, I remember when you said you were going to get this. It's pretty exciting. And look, this weekend in Indianapolis is going to be special. I think the number of potential winners, it goes up and down the field, I think is
15,
amazing.
20 cars.
And your guys have got a good chance. I think the speed and I think the reorganization of the team you've done has been amazing. And look, we're all reaching for that top. And I think the question here is going to be reliability, which I think the cars, that's the one thing I do see. We don't see much people falling out. Now you can have a dumb pit stop, or a driver makes a mistake, or you get caught up in something. But you know, overall, got a good formula, good rules, good car, and we just got to do little tweaks to it, not make a gigantic change. And I think you as a car owner here, and knowing the costs associated as you get too technical, people in the stands don't know about this little thing we put on the back of the car. They want to see
a great race.
The red car, the blue car, the orange car, racing guys, and when the guys take their helmets off, they want to know these people, and they want it to be accessible. That's one thing you can see here.
Yeah.
Our drivers are walking out with a crowd, and that's what we need to continue to do. We need that connection, but we need to connect with that younger person that really doesn't even think about racing. So you're the marketing guy. You got to figure that out for us.
I'm on the case.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, and it's been an honor sitting here with you.